Well then, thank you so much for joining us today right here on Transforming Families. My name is Faith Kaulu. I hope you are staying safe even in this very trying and scary moment. So do not try to keep wearing your mask. Today, Transforming Families is at the amazing Milele Hotel. Thank you so much, Milele Hotel, for hosting us. Such an amazing place in South Sea. You should check it out, pass by and have a delicious meal for yourself. On set today, I am gladly joined by the amazing Professor Catherine Kashida. Thank you so much for always being there for Transforming Families. It's such an honor to have you on board. Professor Catherine is a counseling psychologist, a marriage and family therapist, as well as the director of Kenya Institute of Business and Counseling Organization. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Next is Reverend Edward Karanja as well, a great fan of Transforming Families. Such an honor to have you as well. Rev Karanja is an ordained minister with the Presbyterian Church of East Africa, as well as a professional marriage and family therapist.
Amen.
Asante sana.
Thank you very much, Faith. It's always a pleasure to be here on Transforming Families program.
Yeah.
Thank you.
On the very far end is Mercy Kaburu, who's here, courtesy of the Y Summit. Mercy Kaburu is a mother of 3 children, a professional with broad geographical experience, a mentor and coach mediator, and is currently mentoring Bahati girls in Nakuru on behalf of Education for All, an organization that offers scholarship to underprivileged children. Thank you so much, Mercy, for being here today.
Thank you for having me.
It's such an honor to have you. I won't forget to mention the amazing young children that is part of our audience today, guys. We have an audience. We are going to hear from them in the next half, so do not move a muscle. Let's go till the end of the program because we'll hear them get to ask questions. Our topic today is parent-teenager relationship, and you want to understand what is the problem really. Is it the child? Is it the parent? We are going to find that out with the amazing help from our panelists and questions from beautiful and amazing audience. So right about now, let's get into the discussion. That is parent-teen relationship. And I'd want us to discuss or to begin with, how does a good parent-teenage relationship or a secure relationship look like, Professor Catherine?
It's important for a parent to know that the teenagers are in another developmental stage, a developmental stage where they can think, where they can reason, where they would want to be their own entities. Because during that period of time, you realize you're not a child anymore. Yeah. And many teenagers will tell their parents, Mom, I'm not a child anymore. Dad, I am not a child anymore. Allow me to think through, allow me to do the things that I want to do. And so a relationship that is healthy between a teenager and a parent is one where the parent realizes that the developmental tasks of the child or the teenager have changed. Now they are not small children. There is so much that they can be able to do and achieve, and that the parent needs to be a guide and a coach at this time, needs to be like a counselor, listening and helping the teenager to explore and to think through whatever engagements that the teenager would want to have. And therefore it is a relationship where the parent is not domineering, where the parent is not controlling, but the parent is giving leeway as the child is continuing to develop, so that this child, who is now an adolescent or a teenager or a youth, can now start becoming themselves and knowing that they are going to conquer the world alone once they have been launched into the wider world. But at this time, we say it is a transition stage. It is a stage you are coming, or a teenager is coming from childhood to the young adult or to the legal age, and therefore this transition needs to be managed very well by a parent who is loving and caring and firm to the teenager.
Yeah. I'd say such a hard pill to swallow for African parents, asking them to step back and allow the child to be, because even if you're 50 years old, you're still my child, and what I tell you, you do. Rev Edward, what do you have to say about this?
Thank you very much, Faith. And while I agree with the professor, it's also good to realize that, as you have said it, Faith, there are things that are idealistic and there are things that are realistic. The ideal situation of a youth parent or a teen parent relationship, the ideal situation is where the parents and the teen sit together, they have a beautiful relationship. You know, you agree, where do you want to go to today? You're going out with your friends. Are you studying? Are you sleeping? What time are you sleeping? What time are you waking up? That's the ideal situation. But the real situation is this parent-teen relationship has its own challenges, because they are the real things which the parents can see about the teen, and there are those things that the teen may not be able to see. Why? At this stage, the teen is undergoing identity crisis as well. And the parents, to understand that is a challenge. The parents still looks at the teen as my child, my baby. You know, when I say go, you go. When I say right turn, left turn, left turn. The teen on the other side, they are now maturing up. They want their identity. I'm not a child. I should not be told what to do, what time to wake up, what time to do. So there is a lot of balance here that is required between the parents and the teens for a harmonious relationship in the home. Otherwise, if it's not looked into, the teens easily rebel and the parents easily overreact over that. That's why it is good to strike a balance between their identity and the maturity the teen is, claiming, and then the part of the parent, the authority and the orders the parent is giving ought to be balanced.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you so much for that.
You're welcome.
Mercy, let me come to you and allow me to ask, what kind of a relationship do you have between you and your children?
I would say that I have a great relationship. It could get better.
It could.
And it will get better with time.
Yeah.
I have an 18-year-old, I have a 15-year-old, and I have a 6-year-old. So it's a whole lot of diverse in my house.
Yeah.
But I look at it in a different perspective and say that by the time you're getting to the teens, you'll have done a few steps back to be able to warrant, this relationship that you all cultivate into this relationship. By walking with them every single step of the journey. By the time you're getting to the teen, you already have cultivated a great relationship where you can sit down, talk, have a conversation, have an honest conversation, where you become the safe place where these teens can run to in times of trouble, in times of when they want to share their deepest secrets, inner secrets. They will come to you because they know that you are not going to judge them. You are not going to talk down to them, but you're going to have a very honest conversation with them. So this is the kind of relationship that I have. And also because we fellowship together a lot, so we get to open up with each other. And during the fellowship, then we can understand each other's perspective and viewpoint.
Yeah.
Yes.
There's something you mentioned, you fellowship with each other a lot, which brings in the aspect of being a present parent.
Yes.
With tough times today, parents are out there hustling, leave very early in the morning, come back in the evening, and have very few hours with the children. Maybe we can touch on how to ensure you are a present parent. First of all, how to know that you're not present, now how to turn that around and become a present parent. Professor.
Yeah, when we talk about being pleasant for a parent, we talk about being available in the sense that you are together with the children, like Mercy has said, you're doing Bible study, or you're praying, or you're cooking together, or there are certain other activities that you're doing with the children, because you are available and you have the time to be there. But again, it's important to think about quality time. You may be engaged in work that holds you a lot, and you are employed as a parent, and it becomes very difficult to have the quality of the quantity of time, the amount of time that you would want with your children. That means that you now need to leverage on quality time, that the time that you have with your children, you're going to make sure that you're doing what you need to do. Is it bonding together as you carry out activities? Is it finding out what they may be going through that may be hurtful, as Mercy has said, that which is very difficult to process for them, because this is a time that they have relationships, even relationships with opposite partners of friends, and they need to manage that. They need to be helped to manage that, and therefore availability can come in two ways, where you think about the quality time and the quantity of time. We know there are parents who have their children all the time, but we also know that they don't use that time very well with their children, closing in on what needs to be done. They are always quarreling or shouting down, or there are so many conflicts within the family, and that means that we are squandering the time that we should be using in ways that benefit the child and benefit the parent and benefit the entire family. Yeah.
Thank you so much for that. If you want to add something.
Yeah, I mean, the Prof has just mentioned about quality and quantity time. Yeah, you know, the two are very important. Because when a child is little, they want the quantity. They sometimes just want you to sit at home. You want to go out and a child tells you, "Hey, Dad, Mom, when you're going away?" And like, you know, I'm staying here, and they're happy you're not going. Yet within a minute or less, they're out playing without you, but they want you at home, even if they're not playing with you. Teenagers the same. Teenagers, even if you create that quantity time with them, they may not even want to be with you. They want to be with their phones, they want to be with their TV, they want to be watching their programs. So it's like the fellowship, like Marcy was saying, either through the family, at the family altar. Is it over dinner you are praying? Before you pray, that's what we do in my house. Before you pray, you get to know how was your day, each one of them, so that the quality time and the quantity time, like Prof has said, you know, they match together. Because you can have all the time, but not use it well. So the issue is that how do you manage the time? Yes, thank you very much.
In terms of managing the time, this brings in, of course, with spending time together, you become attached, and the relationship grows more strong. I want us to talk about over-attachment. Or if there's something, if there's even a word like that, and you find that as the child progresses, they're a young adult, but they're still attached to the parent. They can't make a decision independently. They're too afraid to move out after school. Let's talk about this. Maybe I'll start with you, Mercy.
Yes. A very good question, and I see that we struggle a bit. And being parents, sometimes you want to give everything, and you want to give it all, but you also chance to, you know, really becoming a kind of a helicopter parent who is just hovering around everything that the kids are doing, and in so doing, you endanger them from developing and growing their mind to be responsible people who can think on their own 2 feet. And there's a danger in this. If there is a small issue in the house and you're always there to help them to understand how to cope with the situation at hand, you haven't helped. The right thing, I think, to do is to let them come up with a solution. Remember, our job as parents is to guide and to mentor. So my role moves from telling you what to do to you guiding me, and if there is a problem to the guidance that you're bringing on the table, then we'll be able to discuss and see which one fits very well on this. So for me, I would say is that yes, there is autonomy of giving them the freedom to be able to do the things that they want to do. At the same time, being there, being present, being there to be able to monitor, just the same way we have managers in the office, people at work who are monitoring the work, not to say that they will be there to tell you now do this, now do this, but just to give you a guidance on what is expected to do. I think that is a very good place to be.
Thank you so much for a parent who notices this, that where I was too lenient with my child, they are now over-attached. He's 30, she's 35, they're still at home, no plans of moving out. How do they go about ensuring that this is reversed and that now they can independently move on?
You realize, because you can see that a child does not even want to go and have their own place to stay, and struggle to see that they are buying the things they need to buy so that they can continue with their own lives. And for some of those children where parents have been overprotective or over-indulgent, what will happen is that choose even to move on by getting married, whether you are a girl or you are a man. And that means that now as a parent you start getting worried. What has happened to my child. And as Mercy has said, because a child is not thinking for themselves and they are very, very scared. Because again, an overprotective parent is parenting from a negative emotion, fear, anxiety. And that is why you are crowding the child, because you fear that maybe they will not be able to do certain things for themselves. Now, as a parent, I would say that sometimes it gets confusing, what do I do? And we hear parents talking to each other and saying, my child, this one is not moving on and I'm worried. So they're just complaining. But rather than complain, a parent needs to take some steps. If they do not know what to do, let them go and get a training. Let them go and expand their capacity, because it's not a bad thing not to have capacity. The bad thing is when you do not realize that now I need to go somewhere and increase my capacity. Once capacity has been increased, now they can be able now to change the damage, or to undo the damage that was done by getting the child now not a child but a young adult to be more independent and to think on their own and to start charting their own direction. The thing is, it's about what they think about their life and moving on and implementing what they think about. And you as a parent just becoming a consultant, not becoming a teacher now, because the method of parenting now is not being a teacher. You're going to lose it when you're a teacher. But when you are the consultant, when they can come and say, Dad, Mom, this is what I want to do, and you examine that, you analyze that, and you say, by the way, your thoughts are good, by the way, if you change 1, 2, 3, it is going to help you. Then you will be able to change the negative trajectory to a more positive direction.
Thank you so much for that. Let's talk discipline. Says spare the road, as well as we have also correct with love. So which is which? I'd like first of all to hear from all of you, maybe the different forms of discipline you've used, and now which one would you advise a parent out?
Two things I want to mention there. One is the attachment. From the word go, it's good to realize as parents that the children that are growing up, the teenagers, our children are not growing up in our generation. If you grew up in the village, fetching water, cutting napier grass, milking cows, you bring up your children in the city. That is different. There is no water to fetch, there is tapped water. So we don't, all this story of telling them, during my time I was not as lazy as you, I was never always under the TV watching. You even did not have that TV, by the way. Most parents didn't have the TV to watch. So maybe the reason why you did not watch the TV is because you did not have the opportunity. There wasn't any TV to watch. So it's good for the parents to realize that these children are growing up in their own different. Our daughter at the university talked about watching Teletubbies when she was growing up. And the younger ones wonder, what are the Teletubbies? And they think she's too old. Then, and they should talk about, cartoons called Scooby-Doo. And the younger guy is wondering, what on earth are those things? The last born talks of playing his PS station with a friend, not in the house. The friend is in a different estate, and they are playing the PS station with them, and they are away. That's a technology that some of us never grew up with. So as the children grow, so that you allow them to understand their world, as a parent, and the Prophet has said that, and she said, be there for them. It's a kind of a supervisory role, getting while you understand their world. What is it they are growing in? What are their interests? What is this world they are in? Because it's not your world. It's completely different world they are growing up in. Spare the rod, spoil the child. I believe in discipline. I believe I'm a typical Presbyterian who believes in the Corinthians 14:40. Everything must be done decently and in order. So that as a good typical Presbyterian, I believe that there has to be order in a home. And that order got to be followed. Not when people are teenagers. It got to begin from the way back when children are younger. You cannot begin fellowship, a family altar, praying together when they are 20, when they are 18. It got to have begun all the way earlier. You cannot tell your teenagers, you can't talk back to me, while they were talking back to you when they are 3 or 4. It got to begin all the way earlier. They will know, I don't talk back to parents like that. You cannot tell a teenager, don't use vulgar language, yet they have been hearing the vulgar language in the home. It has to begin early, that we don't do vulgar language here. So the discipline ought to be there. But then the discipline is not that of breaking the hand of a child. It is the discipline that brings the child closer and to the order of the things in life. So I believe in the discipline, while at the same time, relationship. Because where there is no discipline without relationship, it creates rebellion. But where there is relationship and discipline, there is no issue. You will work well with the children. So it got to be relationship with discipline. Otherwise, without the relationship, discipline, breeds rebellion. Yes. Okay.
Yeah, interesting question. Sometimes I ask parents, and we struggle with this, yet when we are in the office, we have very well set rules. We have the mission, we have the vision, we have the objective of the company, and everybody is guided on what is expected. But when we go back to our houses, everything is such a mess. And then you wonder, are these the same people who are executives, who are in the office, and they are doing great things? How is it that us parents are not able to go back to our house and set a set of rules that is expected in this house? This is how we do things. Two types of punishment. I call them internal and external. The external is that feeling of, I have withdrawn your gadget, I will not let you go and visit your friend, you will not talk to your friends, you will not go and hang out for a birthday or anything. Those are external. But internally, is there anything that we have changed? Because at the end of the day, the punishment that you're giving has to have a lesson. So we want to sit down and say, yes, do you think you are right in doing what you did not finish your assignment? Why is it? Is there a way that we can help you so that next time you can be able to finish the homework on time? So we have that kind of discussion so that at the end of the day, it becomes an internal lesson for you that will guide you tomorrow and will motivate you to be able to do what you expected to do. The other thing is about you reward on the best behavior, not all the time picking on the bad behavior that you're doing, you have been doing. We want to recognize the best behavior, because by recognizing the best behavior, we are building you, and we are sitting in a place where we are appreciating that this is what we want in this house. We like the best behavior, and best behaviors are rewarded. Could not be monetary, could be other ways that you find, so for me, I say there are several ways of disciplining, but for me, I'll go with the internal, the one that will sit with the person at the end of, you'll be able to say, anyway, what I did was not right, and I could try to change and do better next time.
Yes. Tell us, did you use a whip or a
I think I did. But it's important for us to appreciate that punishment is about pain. And for us as parents, we just don't want to instill pain for the sake of instilling pain, because you have a kiboko or you have a slipper or you have a belt that you can use. And no one can ask you as a parent, because you are the parent. No one is doubting that you are the parent. I think understanding that we are not punishing, but it's about discipline and correction. Even when we go to our jails, we don't call them punishment centers. We actually call them correction centers. When a child knows that whatever you are doing, the method you're using is about correction and discipline, the child is going to feel respected. And every human being wants to feel respected. And therefore, whatever method you use, whether you are saying that you have to make amends, you lied to me, you have to say sorry to me for lying to me. Whatever method that a parent is going to employ, the parent has to know that I am disciplining to make better, and I am correcting so that this child of mine can become a sociable individual and an individual who has self-respect and honor, as you are saying in another episode. Yes.
Thank you so much, Prof, for that. Let's take a very short break right here on Transforming Families. Do not move a muscle, because I promise you we will be right back. But right about now, let me leave you with this discussion I had earlier on with Kyle. Hi Kyle, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
Sure.
It's a pleasure.
Tell us a bit about yourself.
I'm Kyle from St. Andrew's Church.
Yeah.
I'm 18 years old and I go to Light Academy.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right. In relation to parent-teenage relationship, which is what we are tackling, let's begin with how's the relationship between you and your parents?
I'd like to say it's pretty good. It's strong. It's still, it could be stronger.
Yeah.
So it's a work in progress.
Work in progress.
Yeah.
Right way to put it. Let's talk about instances that made you feel like you were disrespectful to your parent. What happened?
I'd like to use something that all teenagers can relate to. I think it's marks in school.
Okay.
Where you think you've done your best for that particular exam.
Yeah.
And the parent thinks you can do more, because every parent has that expectation of their child. So I had done average.
Okay.
I can say B minus there. And my dad thought that exam I could have gotten an A. So we disagreed, and I told him that that's all I could have done for that exam.
Yeah.
And at the end of it, it seemed disrespectful. Yeah.
Things got out of hand.
Yeah.
How were you able to mend things after that?
You give it time. Things like that, you give it time where you, both of you cool down, and then you come back when you're more level-headed and discuss.
Yeah. Has any of your parents ever apologized for something? Said, Kyle, I'm sorry.
Hey, that's difficult. But yeah, in their own way, yes.
In their own way, but not literally saying sorry.
Not literally saying sorry.
African parents may say.
Yeah.
Let's talk about sex education.
Okay.
Have you had the talk, the dreaded talk?
Yes, I have. I
Wow.
have.
When was this?
This was in class 8, so 14. Yeah.
What prompted the talk?
At that point, I was going through rites of passage,
Okay.
so it needed to be addressed to some extent. But we both came to that consensus where we're like, yeah, I think it's easier just to finish it right now and know what we're doing before we can move
Get
on.
over the first hurdle.
Yeah.
Is it something that is still there? It progresses. You have the talk often, or that's it? You've forgotten about it.
It depends. For us, that was mostly it. But when I need to clear something about relationships, I go to him mostly. Because we relate on things. If I need to clear something about females, I go to my mom occasionally.
Wow. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Now, generally speaking, in terms of you interacting with other young people of your age, what is the one thing you'd say that people of your age really want or look up to in their parent? That they say, I wish my parent did this, or I wish my parent was like this?
That's relative. Because different parents have different, they were blessed in different ways.
Yeah, sure.
So some it's monetary, others it's character-wise. So for me, I'd use my example because that's what I know. My example is character. I really look up to my parents because of how far they've come from where I hear the stories where they came from.
Yeah.
And life tests your character. So that's what I want to have.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Thank you so much for sharing with us and for being here. Maybe final message to young people who are struggling in terms of having a stable relationship with their parents.
I'd like to tell them that it won't always be easy. So you need to have that patience on your parents, because you expect that same patience from them.
Sure.
So it takes time.
It takes time.
That's all I can.
Wisdom right there.
Yeah.
Takes time, and be patient.
Yeah, and be patient.
Thank you so much.
It's a pleasure.
COVID-19 pandemic, there are emerging issues. Relationships, family issues, emotional challenges like anxiety and depression, lack of basic necessities like food, house rent, and such. This is the reality on the ground. And therefore, even with the eventual reopening of the economy, it's not going to be a grand comeback, but rather we need to be ready for a gradual process of recovery.
Consequently, the need for sustained mission to the needy remains. So far, we have been able to reach to 32,000 families through the Adopt a Family initiative. We appreciate everyone who has contributed to this effort through the pay bill number and through the local churches across the country in relieving the suffering of thousands.
God giving us another day, we appeal to you to continue partnering with PCA Mission Department by expressing our extraordinary kindness. For kindness goes with hospitality, and hospitality has a great reward. And therefore it is amazing how you've continued to support us in this mission of love and kindness. And I urge and humbly ask all of you to continue contributing in kind through our churches and also through our pay bill number 689549. The account name, you still put your name. Let us continue demonstrating our unusual kindness at these unusual times. God bless you all.
Welcome back, and thank you so much for keeping it right here. This second segment, we are going to hear from the amazing young adults that we have today, and we want to understand what are some of the concerns and questions they have, because we have Professor Catherine, Rev. Edward, and Mercy to be able to answer those questions and as well as get to an understanding together. Now, allow me to pose this to you. Maybe what aspects of parenting do you like? What questions do you have when it comes to discipline? Even feel free to be able to use or to explain from experience and interaction with friends who complain about their parents being too harsh and all that. Yeah? So let me open the floor to hear from you guys. Who should we start with? Davis? Okay.
Yeah, I have a question.
Sure.
So, how do you repair already damaged relationship between the teenager
and the parent? Wow, that is a very nice question, because we are talking about a good and a secure teenage-parent relationship. But
yes, a very good question, David. Thank you for asking this. Like we have discussed and we have said a lot about, moving and walking. It's a journey. Life is a journey between you and your parents. And if you both of you come across and you're not having a very great relationship, I think the first thing is to acknowledge that there's a problem. Acknowledge that we are not moving in the right direction, both of us. And especially if it's coming from a mom, you apologize. Say, I apologize because instead of listening to you, I have been judging you. I have been disrespecting your privacy. I have been disrespecting you. And once you say from inside that you would like to have a better relationship, then it is obvious that you will sit down and see how you can move forward.
So this is for the parent.
This is for the parent.
Now, for the young teen who's noticing that my relationship is not perfect and I would like me and my mom to be better or me and my dad to be better, what should they do? Because yes, the parent has a step to take as well as the child. So what should the child do? Putting in mind that the child just can't walk up to the mom and say, hey mom, our relationship is not good, we need to do this and this. How should they approach the situation? Rev?
Thank you very much, Faith. I know this is a question that is a little bit tricky to all of us.
Yes.
If there is and thank you very much, Davis. That's a very bold question to ask. Already damaged relationship between a teenager and a parent. If the teenager is the one, because it depends on who realizes that the relationship is damaged and required some mending. Because the parent may not even think there is any damaged relationship. All they think is like, it's fine, I am ruling here, I'm making orders.
Yes.
If the teenager realizes that the relationship is needs mending, it's spoiled, I guess it's important for the teenager themselves to reach out to their parents. Reach out to your daddy, reach out to your mommy. You're not telling them that we have a bad relationship. You can even reach to your daddy or your mommy and tell them, Mommy, I do love you. And they're like, why? What is it you want? Because they think the moment you say that, either you want a phone or you want something. There's a favor or some money.
Yes.
What is it that you want? You're like, Mom, nothing. I just want you as my mommy. I love you. You reach out to them. And the moment you reach out to them and they see like you have no hard feelings, you do that twice, thrice, 4 times, there is a way they will also reach back to you, because love begets love. Goodness begets goodness. So when you're good to them, there's a way they'll also, pass that olive branch. But when you meet with them, aggressively punching, then it will not come. If it is the parent who realizes that, the relationship is not good, then the parent should be able to reach the child. But you may think the parent knows no good relationship, yet they think it's okay. Your daddy, your mommy thinks you are a teenager, you are going through a stage in life. So they will still keep on ordering you and pushing you around in the house saying, utakuwa mkubwa, utakuwa mzazi, siku yako itafika. And they keep on, siku yako itafika. So you are the one who reached the, Mommy, I am going through a hard time. Daddy, I am, I love you so much, there is something I want us to talk. There's something I'm going through. So I think, Faith, for me, will be like, teenager, reach out to your parents. And you will be amazed by how much they will stretch their hands and embrace you.
Wow, thank you so much for that, Mercy, as well. You would like to
add something? Just one more.
Sure.
I think there is a statement that I like to use at home, and it starts with what is working, what is not working, and how can we make it better work. And I think when we open with those 3 statements, what is working, we are going to talk about the good things that are talking, because I think it's not everything that is lost. There must be something that we are doing right. So let's embrace that we are doing right. So what's not working? Then it becomes a ground where we are open now to discuss about the things that we think are not right. Maybe from my side as a parent and from your side as a teen. So we open up that, and then how can we move forward and make everything better? With that, then we have a balanced, I have said from my point of view, you have talked from your point of view, then how can we move forward?
Wow. Thank you so
I just want to add to what Levered and Mercy have said, that you can reach out to each other. The person who realizes the relationship is damaged can reach out to the other, the child or the teenager to the parent to the child. But you may reach out to your parent, and your parent does not see where they are going wrong in this relationship. That is the time you pull in another person that the parent respects. Is that your grandmother or grandfather or an auntie, a person your parent respects? Because if you bring in a person that your parent does not respect, they are not going to engage, and you'd want your parent to engage. Remember, teenagers, that even parents, they were never taught how to parent, and they can have their gaps, they can have their inadequacies in parenting, so that you need to have a little bit of grace when you're dealing with whatever situation has made the relationship to be damaged. Don't ever allow yourself to continue with a damaged relationship with your parent. Your parent is very vital to you, so you need to do all it takes to make sure that you correct it. So a good question from Davis, and I hope that the answers we have given will give you an idea of what you need to do.
Thank you so much, Davis, for that. Anyone else?
I have a question.
Sure.
Let's say my best friend and I are very close friends. Then our parents, let's say my mother and my best friend's mother, get a conflict. Then my mother tells me, don't play with your best friend. And if I see you, I will do something that will make you regret why I gave birth to how will you work on that?
Wow, that's a very nice question. And it's a reality because it happens. Yeah.
I would do something to you that will make you regret why I gave birth to you. Yeah, it's a very challenging situation to the child, but it must be resolved. And you as a child, you're put in the conflict between parents.
Yeah.
That is your mom and the mom to your friend. And you need to look for mom when she is she's settled, when she is at peace. After some time, you don't talk back at that time when she is saying that. Just give her time. You can even tell her, Mom, let's talk about this after 3 days. I can see how angry you are, but I know that your anger will calm down and we can talk about it in a way that advances your interest, because I know you don't want me to be damaged, and in a way that advances my interest as your own child. So don't have an altercation with your parent, because one of the mistakes that children and adolescents do is to answer back your parents when they are agitated and they are very emotional. You don't try to argue with them when they are emotional, but once they calm down, after some time, it can be at the end of the day or after some days, you'll be able to engage and talk constructively about that matter, so that your parents are not limiting you from having friends who are of value to you simply because they have a difficult relationship with a member of the family of that child or that friend you have.
Yeah. Rev Mercy?
Yeah. You want to go?
You want to go?
Go first. I like that. Thank you very much. You know, it's very challenging that you have a best friend, mothers have quarreled. One, it's good to understand that your mother thinks by hanging out with your friend and being together with your friend, there is some information about your home that you might give your friend, and the information might reach your friend's mother, and the information might be used against her. So it's good also to understand the situation your mother is in at that moment. Because probably whatever they have quarreled about, maybe it's the way the home is. And they think through your friend might even come to investigate further, give the information to the mother, and then the information again hits your mother. So it's good to understand that situation. When your mother is angry and she's talking, don't answer her back. At that moment, accept everything they are saying. They tell you, usiwahi ongea na yeye, unasikia, enda ukalale. That moment, ukijaribu kumwambia kwamba naona mama umekasirika, unajibu nani? Nani unaongelesha? Because the sleepers comes your way at that particular moment. And then that's the challenge. Ukimwambia atauliza nani unajibu? Akiuliza umesikia usiwahi ongea na yeye, ukinyamaza unaninyamazia. So like you're almost wondering, when do I answer? When do I keep quiet? Because she's agitated. So wait, she cools down, she tells you, enda ukalale, go to bed. Then when now she's sober, now it could be tomorrow, it could be 2 days after that, talk to her at that moment. Because all of us, when we are angry, including you young people, there is a moment of madness whereby you don't reason and you can end up doing something very bad. That's why even in parenting, we always, and in fact family therapy, I always remind parents, when you're angry, don't discipline the child. Because you can easily hit them in a way you regret ever doing it. So at that moment of madness of your parents, don't answer them back unless they ask you to answer at that moment. Thank you very much. I don't know.
And really, you have said all I could have said. I mean, but just to add a little is to say that even when you look at us as parents, imagine we do not have a manual on how to parent. We do not have all the answers. We do not even, times we make mistakes. So it calls for patience from both ends, and calling a bit of wisdom that we can only get from God, realizing that your mom, what they have said, very important, realizing that your mom is upset and you do not have, and it does not call for you to answer to everything that has been said at that particular point. And not just your mom, you will encounter your teachers in school who are upset with you, you don't have to answer them back, because that is rudeness. And when you start working again, you experience bosses who will demand a lot of things from you. You do not have to answer. So it calls for wisdom, it calls for humility, it calls for patience. Then later on, when everything has calmed down, then you can go around the whole situation. And first of all, ask, is the tension between you and your friend because of us? Or is it because of just the two of you? This will be later. There's a rule that you take some water and keep in your mouth so that you're not tempted to answer back. That rules apply all the time. Do not count up to 1, up to 15. By the time probably you're finishing the 15, it will be tomorrow or 3 days after. So hold on to that thought and learn to practice it, because it will come in real life, it will come at home, it will come in school, and it will call for wisdom.
There's a tip, the water tip, yeah?
Yes.
So have water in your mouth so that you do not answer back.
Yes.
Okay, any other question? Thank you so much for that, David.
Okay.
Sure.
There are certain times that when, let's say for example, I'm preparing tea, and then I receive a phone call, and then I pick, and then by mistake the tea imwagike, then mama akikuja anaanza kusema hiyo simu ndio inafanya usiku unafanya vitu huko, uko tu kwa simu kila wakati, kila time unakaa tu chini simu, ukifanya kitu unafikiria tu simu. But that's not the situation that you're in. Let's say you were just seated and then you just receive a call. You not let it ring and not pick it, because you also want to know how things are going, how your friends are. But when now you pick, and then one mistake, anakumbuka zile vitu zote mbaya ushaifanya, zinalistiwa zote, hata kumbuka ile mzuri umefanya, lakini zile mbaya zote zinakumbukwa. So how will you cope with that?
Sure.
Gloria, it's a good question, really. There's something that I like to tell young people, and including ourselves as parents. There's something called mindfulness. Mindfulness is learning to do just one thing at that particular time. Do you know that you could be in the shower, but you're not in the shower? Your mind is in school, your mind is at the mall, your mind is elsewhere. It can be dangerous for you as well. Imagine if it is not just tea that poured in the kitchen. Imagine if it's a gas that caught fire and something happened. So it calls for you to learn to have something called mindfulness. Just learning to do just one thing at that one time, and you will see that your life will improve over time. So if it is you're in books, just focus on books. If you're cooking tea, it will take 5 minutes. That phone call can be returned, and that is why it's called a mobile phone, because you go back and you see anyone who has called you, and then you can be able to return the call back. But learn to do just one thing at once. About parents, bringing the issues of the past that happened a long time ago, sometimes they cannot be avoided, and that is why we are saying parenting is so different styles of parenting. There are parents who will remind you, there are parents who forgive and forget very quickly, and they will not bring up the issue again. But if that happens, in a very calm way, I say again here, it calls for wisdom. You do not want to talk back to your parent and say, Mom, you keep on reminding me about the things that happened. Accept this one mistake in a very humble way and say you're sorry. There's nothing that works magic like the word sorry.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you so much for that. Rev, maybe you can also touch on the aspect of the parent listing all the mistakes. Ever since you were crawling.
Yes. One is the saying sorry is good. When you try to explain why the tea poured, why you had to pick the phone, you look confrontational.
Yes.
And anytime you look confrontational, things go wrong. So saying sorry drops the entire matter.
Yes.
And you don't argue. The other thing is good to remember character. People have different characteristics. There are people who are very good in remembering every mistake that has ever happened in the past. Is a personality. And I can tell this day, the ladies are the ones, Professor, that are being reminded. You hear my mom has quarreled with the other mama. My mother is reminding me all the mistakes. I think the teenagers interact more in mother's mercy, and in terms of wars. But in terms of mistake, this is something that parents, please, if you're watching and listening, you need to learn this. It is not good always to remember the mistakes parents, your children have done. And that's why we had even said earlier before going on break, it is good to even reward. Remember the good things that the child has done. It is just tea that has poured. Learn to address the particular item. Like Mas is saying about mindfulness. Your mind is in tea, make tea. The mistake that has been done is the tea that is poured. Don't remember when your teenager came late. Don't remember when she slept very late, when she woke up at 11 a.m. in the morning or midday. Don't bring all those mistakes. Address the tea that has poured. Address the phone at that moment. Don't bring in the other day you were on TV the whole time, you could not even remember, you couldn't even hear the gate ringing, bell, you couldn't hear the hooting. No. Parents, address the issue at hand.
True.
It is best when it comes to dealing with the teenagers.
Yes.
It reminds me of a photo that is going around that even when a child is down with malaria or flu, the parent says, it's because you're always on the phone and social media. That's why
That's why you're on flu.
So I think this also brings in the point of we are in different times.
Yeah.
When our parents, like I'm now a young person, so now we're growing up, there were no phones around.
Yeah.
It was such a privilege, but right now they are very easy to acquire. So
Yeah.
it also requires understanding to know that the phone is there, the child needs to use it. Thank you so much for answering the questions very well. Any other question?
So I have a question about the relationship between the child and the mother. So at this point, it's involving the parent involves someone else, like a friend or an auntie. So the auntie zile answers zenye analeta kwa hiyo mistake. So Ms. Masika Bruce said that life is a journey for a child and the mom. So is it healthy for a mom to involve someone else in a mistake that you think you are the both of you need to begin nafaa kuhandle wawili, or maybe she sees that this mistake I can't handle alone. So is it healthy for a parent to involve someone else, but the child thinks that there's someone who is involving is not as analeta hiyo kitu verify, and then anaweza leta kitu inaweza ignite something to the parent, amkumbushe maybe another mistake that you did. So is it healthy for a parent to do something?
Sure. Thank you, Ahmed. Right. Is it okay for parents to involve other people in issues that concern the parent and the child? I would say to some extent, yes. Because the parent may be feeling overwhelmed and would need support from another person. Maybe the question that we need to ask is, how adequate is this person in coming in and bringing a relief or an answer or a solution to the situation? And I think that's what you are concerned with, RX. How adequate is Auntie? How adequate is this other person who belongs to this household in chipping in and helping us to resolve this particular matter? Now, it is mom who has done that, brought another person, and you're feeling this is something that we can be able to handle, both of us. But just like Leverett said, it is important to consider what is in the mind of mom. Is it that she's feeling inadequate? Is it that she's feeling she needs some reinforcement because this is something that you as a child has repeated again and again? And so during your good time with mom, you might want to ask, Mom, what made you bring Auntie on board over this particular matter, so that you can understand the mind of your parent. We started off by saying there needs to be a good relationship between a teenager and the parent. And you're also concerned that you want to make sure you inject health into your relationship, and therefore asking her during times when she can be able to respond to you, the reason as to why she brought Auntie or whoever else on board would be important. Again, it would be important to tell your parent that maybe there are some things we can resolve, both of us, and I'm going to be willing on my own part, as your son, as your daughter, as your teenager, I'm going to be willing to resolve issues amicably with you. And I hope that, Mom, you can be able to do that. As Lefred said, and even Mercy, parents are also willing to see you growing into an important person, a constructive individual, and a person who is going to be productive to self, to family, and to the society.
Thank you so much for that, Prof. Thank you so much, Prof, for that. You have put it very well. We'll take last two questions.
Sometimes you're just going through something, and then you just know, and you decide to open up to your parents, and then when she comes home, let's say for example your mother, she comes home, and then you just sit at her, you're sitting in the sitting room watching TV, you're waiting for her to come so that you can talk. Yeah. Then she just comes with her problems, she starts shouting at you, she tells you why you're always on the TV and all that stuff. Yeah. And then you just, already you're low, and then you get angry. What should you do? Okay.
Thank you so much for that. Mercy will handle that. One more question? Okay, sure.
Well, mine is just like an addition. You know, African parents will always tend to discipline the way they see fit. You know, most of them will not always consult counselors. Most of them will consult other parents, and it depends on what other parents do. If another parent feels like external punishment is what seems fit, he or she will use external punishment, meaning inflict and pain. But what I feel like parents do not understand is that internal pain will only last that moment. But in as much as it lasts that moment, it creates an internal pain. And you know, I tend to say that external pains will heal. Yeah, they will leave scars, others will just leave a purple bruise or something. Yeah. But internal pains tend to just open up, you know. At some point you're just there and you know, that wound, it's not stitched up properly. So it just tends to break and it's massive. Yeah. So when that pain, you know, when that inner scar bleeds, you tend to have dozens of emotions. You know, you feel pain, you feel anger. And no parent, you know, no one likes being forced emotions upon them. You know, let's say for example a younger teen, you know, tries to bring up an argument. You know, even your fellow like youth or something. Yeah. You know, you feel like they are forcing anger into you and you do not like that. So you reciprocate the anger. No parent likes that. You know, but sometimes some of us need that dialogue to understand each other's pain, each other's, you know, the backward story of each emotion. But not many parents see that. So in the end, it causes one to keep it inside. You know, it just stores. Yeah, it brings up. Yeah, and you know, it causes some cause psychological depression. You know, you just see your child sitting alone, others stay in the darkness, and then you just say, you know, spirits. How can you involve spirits in something you caused? You know, so a lot of things always build up when we're talking about discipline. Yeah, a lot of things come. So yeah, I think, you know, try to convince me or something, you know, let's just talk about it.
All right, thank you so much for bringing that up. Rev will touch on that now briefly because time is running out sadly. But Mercy, let's answer.
Great, thank you Annabelle for your question. I want to first direct this to the parents that unfortunately, parenting is the only role that can never be delegated. In the office, you will delegate lots of things. You will tell so many people what to do, but parenting can never be delegated. It's only you and your children. And the minute you're not there to empty what is going on in their mind, you can imagine a lot of emotions goes in. And what she has just talked about, you're there waiting for your parents so that you can download the whole day's event, the whole month's event, things that are disturbing you, so that you can have that mature conversation and you can be able to be freed, Annabelle. And so when you come home with your own stress, you have not solved any problem as a parent. Probably you're coming because there is, you know, at work you're not happy or whatever is happening with you. And so you push your emotions to the child and you do not even have the communication that you're meant to have. And also this goes to the children, that parents also experience a lot out there. When they step out to go and look for food, to put food on the table, to make sure rent is paid, they go a lot of emotions, you know, a lot of things are happening to them. So I would call that both of you sit at the same table. If you think and if you sense that your mom has come with emotions that are not from the inside the house, you allow her to be. Tomorrow will be a better day. And that is what we have kept on saying. We have said, let it go today. Tomorrow will be a better day to address the issues that you have. You do not have to address that. Let her make noise. It's her right. She's your mom. She's the boss. Let her make noise today. But tomorrow you can come up and have that conversation in a sober way. Okay?
Thank you so much for that. Rev, let's
Yeah.
Stacey's question.
Yes, I want to address Stacey.
Yeah.
And just pick it up where Marcel left it. That for one, you will be a parent someday. Your parent was a teenager.
Yeah.
So even as you look at the parents, realize there is a day they were teenagers. So what you're going through, they did go through, only that they went through it in a different way.
Types.
And different times, you know, that's what happened. So realize that. And if they have emotions and all that, relax, cool down, it will be over. Like he says, the parent is going through a lot of stuff, you know, putting food on the table, ensuring that you are schooling and all that. So if they are triggered at the place of work, or they have been retrenched, or they are on a half pay, especially during this COVID season, then you are here with all your demands. Today is Tuesday, it's a pizza day, terrific Tuesday. You know, we need the bread, we need the other. And the parent is under pressure. You're also putting, my phone needs to be replaced and all that. You have your demand. They can easily snap. Back to coming to Stacey, briefly. I want to first of all say, it does not mean Africa is the worst place to be in. It does mean that Africans have a challenge. So when we say that a problem with African parents, you only will talk about African parents and Africa because that's what you know. I schooled in the US. That's where I went to school. And anytime you ask me for where I want to be, to live, I will choose to be in Africa. I will choose to still be in Kenya. We will only look at America and Britain and those other countries like they are better countries than ours just because we do not know them. The way you think that probably African parents are bad, you realize they are way better than the parents outside that there. You step out of this country, you go outside this country, the moment you step the university, your parents no longer tend for you. I stayed with a family whereby the child in the university, they are made to pay rent in their own parents' house for being in their parents' house. Here you will find now some of our children, what we were talking last week, you know, last episode, about over attachment phase. One has completed university, they are still, their parents are tending for them. They are looking for a job, their parents are still taking care of them. So it is good also to realize that this is not the worst place to be in. However, as it states, you've put it, it is also good for the children again to understand that the way you are parenting, the way my world view and the world view of your child are different. So when you see your parents looking at issues from a different world view, realize they are parents. The parents as well, and I will address the parents. Realize that also your children have their different perspective and their world view. So it's also good to work with your child parents and ask yourself, what is my child going through? Ask them, where can we be able to do correction in this family? Having a dialogue with your children is very important, especially the teenagers. Even when it comes to the issues of studies. Don't quarrel them. You're all over here just watching TV. You don't think of anything else. You sleep at 11 midnight. You wake up at 10 o'clock, 11. Sit down with your children, parents. Make the program. Let them make the program. I know that's what I did with my teenager in high school. I was like, can you make your program? Even the one in the university, when they were in high school, younger, make your program. They'll come up with their own program. We want to be sleeping at this time, wake up this time, school this time, and when the guys, you know, work this time, wash dishes this time, you are like, you're the one who have made this program.
Follow it.
Mine is to ensure you follow it. And you see, when you guys make your program, you are very ambitious. Nitakuwa nalala saa 5. Nitakuwa naamka saa 2. Ama nitakuwa naamka saa 3. Aya, siwe ndio umejiandikia hiyo program. Umesema utalala saa 5. Saa 5 stima, TV zimwe, bed. Simu ziwekelewe hapa. Like in my house, there is where they place the phones. Before you go to bed, so you say ni saa 5, put the phones over there. So you said you wake up what time? 8 o'clock. So 8 o'clock was ulisema ama 9. My house is 9. We wake up at 9. 9. We wake all of them up. So you make the program, I enforce the program. So parents, walk with your children, walk with your teenagers.
Thank you so much.
very
Prof, I'll give you 20 seconds to briefly conclude something in relation to what we were talking about today.
I want to talk to the teenagers and say, when it becomes very difficult to resolve issues with parents, then you have to realize that you need a mentor or a coach, someone you can be talking to whenever you are going through difficult moments. Look for an older person or even a person who is of your age but can listen to you regarding matters of concern regarding family life and parenting, and then you can have someone who can help you think through situations that you need to resolve.
All right, thank you so much guys for today. It has been amazing. Thank you all for your amazing questions as well. It has been a great episode. I really enjoyed it, and I hope you, dear viewer, you have learned a lot as well. Thank you so much for keeping it in Transforming Families. My name is Faith Kaulo. Till next time, goodbye.